Alright, so the One Piece live action adaptation from Netflix is coming very soon, as we recently just got the trailer of it that just dropped. If you guys saw my last video, I talked a little bit about how a lot of the fans of One Piece, I feel like, are somewhat turning a blind eye to the actual content of the trailer and basically just calling it a masterpiece because of just, you know, little references to the manga here and there. And to me, I just didn't think that that was enough to, you know, give it a pass and call it a masterpiece, because I feel like when it comes to making a good live action anything, you know, there's a lot more work that goes into it, like music, acting, choreography, tone, pacing, story, etc. But I think a lot of the fans of One Piece are blinded by the fact that they know that a lot of people that worked on this live action show are also fans of One Piece. And for today's video, I kind of wanted to just talk about how there's a good side and also a bad side to that. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, in film we're basically taught that for certain things like making an adaptation of something, typically you would think, oh hey, we should cast someone that, you know, is a fan of the show, or that knows the show, or that knows the source material, right? Like, that's familiar with the source material, because then they would get it, they would know how to play the character, whatever, right? Like, I feel like that's typically what you would think at first. But there is a drawback to that, or a bad side to that, that I think is apparent with a lot of directors or actual people working in the industry, but maybe not so much apparent to fans of the source material or the audience that potentially could be who the adaptation is going to be catered to. And that's the fact that a lot of directors have a different vision in mind that they want to bring to a franchise for an adaptation. And so they would like to look at the actors and actresses that are being cast as, you know, blank canvases, right? Like, maybe they want to interpret the story in a bit of a different way that's not necessarily a one-to-one ratio from the source material, but in order to do that, they will need the actors to do their job and be a blank canvas for the director to, you know, inject their vision, their direction to them, so that they can portray that character the way they want them to be portrayed. Whereas if the actor that's being hired is a huge fan of the series or the source material per se, then they might have issues with that, because then they might start nerding out and being like, well, actually, you know, this character wouldn't do that in this series or this franchise because they're actually allergic to this, or, you know, something like that. And then they start getting too defensive of the character that they're trying to play because they're such a huge fan of the franchise, right? So then they start arguing with the director gets mad and then leaves and doesn't want to work on it anymore, and then now they got to get a new director, and, you know, it just starts creating all these problems and then puts the project on hiatus, or it keeps getting delayed more and more and more. And yeah, basically live action film is such a collaborative process that if these things start to happen, the project starts to fall apart and it just never gets made, or it gets stuck in limbo and it just doesn't get made. And enough time and money gets wasted to where, you know, maybe it just gets canceled before it even comes out. That's why a lot of things like the Akira live action film still hasn't been made, and it's been in the talks, in the works for almost decades now, you know? So that is, I guess, the bad side to, you know, casting someone who is also a fan of the series, of the franchise. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing for One Piece or the One Piece live action in general. In fact, I think to make the One Piece live action work, I feel like it's a good thing that a lot of them are fans of the series, of the franchise, and especially with just how long One Piece has been around and how long the story has been going. I feel like being fans of that franchise would probably work for the better in this sense of adapting it into live action. However, I just don't think that that's always going to be the right case, and I feel like a lot of people are using that as a way to justify this live action being good before it has even come out yet, mind you, when I don't think that that would necessarily apply to other series that got a live action adaptation. And I feel like in general, sometimes, you know, something gets an adaptation made of it and the source material isn't that great, you know, it isn't the best, right? Therefore, when a director comes in to add a new vision, or, you know, give a new way to interpret the story to potentially make it better, it kind of is hypocritical for people to complain and say, oh, it doesn't follow the source material to the T, when in actuality they don't even like the source material to the T, right? For example, Death Note. right? Death Note is so important to me, one of my first anime that I ever watched, still one of my favorites to this day. I love it to death, and you guys already know how important Death Note is to me, right? However, one of the most common things I hear about Death Note from fans is that Death Note becomes trash after, you know, the halfway point. Obviously, I'm not gonna say what happens, cause no spoilers, but you guys know, like, I don't have to say it. Everyone that has seen Death Note knows that a lot of people think that after the halfway point, it becomes garbage, it becomes trash. That's what a lot of people say, and that's not what I'm saying. I do not think that at all. That's not what I'm saying. But I've heard that from so many people. Everyone says, oh, it falls off after this point, right? So the thing is, people say that. However, one thing that, you know, could make the story of Death Note better, you know, past that halfway point, is to maybe change some things about the story. And that's something that they could do if they were to interpret it into live action. That gives them the opportunity to change some things that they could, you know, maybe change that later part of the story to make it not bad, to make it not fall off, to make it not trash, which is what most people say that it is past that point. But when that comes into question, or that is a potential possibility, everyone's like, oh no, you know, we can't do that because if we change anything about any part of the story of Death Note, it becomes automatically trash. And it's like, how are you going to just stand by both of those things when they're just completely opposing each other? You know what I mean? Like, that's literally just hypocritical. It's like, oh, I think Death Note is trash past this point. Oh, hey, let's make an adaptation to change that. Oh, no. If you change anything about it, it's gonna be trash. It's like, what? You know? So another example I like to always use is that everyone says Dragon Ball Evolution is trash, but then a lot of people just hate on Dragon Ball in general. So it's like, you know, if you hate on Dragon Ball, wouldn't you want them to change it? But then they make Dragon Ball Evolution and they say that's bad because it's not Dragon Ball. And it's like, well, you know, and again, I'm not saying Dragon Ball Evolution is good by any means at all, because I personally love Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, but you know, I'm just saying a lot of the people that hate on Dragon Ball Evolution also hate Dragon Ball, and it doesn't really make sense. It's very hypocritical. So yeah, why is it that, you know, that can be a thing, but then also it's okay to just completely stand a live action adaptation based on, you know, just one reference to a manga or panel or whatever, you know? Not that it's even come out, but it's just had a trailer where, you know, someone's wearing the same outfit as someone in a manga volume, and that just automatically makes it a masterpiece. You know, I'm just saying. Anyways, alright, so quickly just want to kind of interject here, because I know there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, well, the main problem is that, you know, directors want to change the vision of the source material in the first place. But like, hear me out, right? An example I probably should have used, since we're talking about One Piece in the first place, is, for example, what if Oda wanted to take this opportunity, getting a live action adaptation of his series One Piece being made, what if he wanted to take an opportunity with this live action adaptation to change Luffy's character in a big way, in a huge way, right? And then everybody starts complaining, saying, oh, Luffy's character is so different, it's not the same, he's not, you know, how he is in the source material, they changed him, they ruined him, but at the same time, that was also Oda's decision, you know? So are you guys really gonna say that, knowing that that was Oda's intention for this live action adaptation to change things? Because that can happen. A creator can want to change things, especially when something's being translated from a different form of art into a different medium, right? Like, not everything has to be the same. And a lot of people, I think, forget that anime itself isn't really the source material. It actually, most of the time, is from the manga, or better yet, like, you know, those people that are like, oh, the manga is the source material. It's like, well, really, the source material goes even further, and could be when you see like interviews of the creator saying, oh, well, actually I wanted this to happen, or I wanted that to happen, or if it's like based on a novel that came before the manga, you know what I mean? Like, those people that are like, oh, it's the source material, like you have to stay so close to the source material like all the time, those people just are kind of weird to me, because again, it's like, you can go further and further, and like, if you really want to get into it, it all comes down to like what the creator wants, or like what the creator intended, right? And like, even the manga, like maybe the creator comes out and says like, oh, actually I never wanted this to happen, you know, then what are you gonna say? Like, oh, like source material this, but also the creator that made the source material didn't even want that. So like, you know, it's just, that's why it always bugs me about those people that are so like loyal to the source material, because realistically, like, things can change, and there's things that maybe even the creator wants to change or wanted to have gone differently, you know, especially being published in a magazine. Like, you don't always get your way as a creator, and I feel like a lot of anime fans should know that, but I guess they don't. So it is what it is. But anyway, just wanted to kind of point out that quick example, because I didn't do that in the initial recording of this video. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I really really wanted to say for this video. It was kind of something that was on my mind, and yeah, I wanted to get it off my chest. So hopefully this doesn't come off the wrong way or get taken in the wrong way. I just want to, you know, kind of open up the question, open up the conversation in your guys' brain, in your guys' mind, and make you guys think a little bit more about, you know, just certain things that regarding anime and live action. And yeah, that's the whole point of this channel, right? So yeah, hopefully you guys do enjoy the video, and you know, don't take it too seriously. Like, I'm just, you know, speaking my thoughts, trying to make content for you guys, but you know, I don't want to offend anyone or make anyone mad or anything like that. So but yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Please leave a comment on anything I had to say, and please leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed it, as well as subscribing to the channel. That would help me out a ton. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see y'all in the next video.